Hey Tekken players, hope you're doing well. So first of all, sorry for the lack of uploads. I've had a lot of IRL stuff, but we're back on it now, and stay tuned because I've got a few more videos and some streams in the pipeline. Okay, so that out the way, I want to now move on to another character specific guide, and this is an anti-Jin guide. Now this is going to be like my Dragunov guide in that there's lots and lots of anti-character stuff out there. So this one, I'm really focusing on King-specific stuff. So this is not just a generic anti-Jin guide. There's loads of those on YouTube. Go check them out. This is specifically for stuff you can do with King that you can't necessarily do with other characters. So it's a bit more of a specialist thing. So there's going to be loads and loads of Jin stuff that I'm not going to cover, but I'm going to cover the basics. And like the Dragunov guide, I'm going to cover what a lot of not casual players, but a lot of people who don't necessarily understand the game that well and have picked a good, strong character like Dragunov, in this case like Jin, and they may be kind of flowcharting or just sort of, you know, not really necessarily thinking about what they're doing. So these strats will work for a lot of that sort of thing. If the player is really good and they understand the fundamentals of Tekken, then obviously they will work around these. But this should be able to sort of stop, you know, it will basically make them think about what they're doing rather than just sort of flowcharting and using Jin's best moves. So oh, and also stay tuned because there's some really nice stuff that pretty much only King can do against some of his anti-Zen stance stuff. So we'll get to that later, but trust me, it's really cool and I had a lot of fun labbing it. So anyway, so let's crack on. So first of all, I'm gonna talk about just a very general sort of approach that Jin players like to use, and sort of kind of basic moves and how to counter them. We'll then talk about some of his strings again, and within that some flowcharts that they like to do with those strings. And we're then going to talk about his Zen stance, which if you're unfamiliar, his Zen stance is when he starts doing these kind of shenanigans. You've seen them do this, right? They love it. They love this. And so we'll talk about the options he has from that, and then sort of what King can do to counter them. Okay, so let's start off with the some basics that Jin players like to do, and I'll do the long story short of it. A bit like Dragunov, a lot of these options we're going to beat with muscle armor. So what they often like to do on approach is they'll do waifu into, say, something like the Demon Paw, or possibly go for an electric. I've got a dummy to do both, but it seems to be focused on doing Demon Paw at the moment. And similar to the Dragunov guide. I don't know why. Come on now. There we go. Similar to Dragunov, a lot of these options just muscle armor through them. This is also particularly good for Demon Paw, because Demon Paw has quite a long recovery time. So this is kind of like, yeah, this is kind of stuff you want to go for, really. If I can land it. If being a keyword. There we go, that was a legit punish. I'll just apologise now for any misinputs. I've literally not played Tekken in 3 weeks. You know, that's my IRL stuff. So yeah, I'm probably going to drop a lot, but we'll work around it. So anyway, so if they're just doing that kind of basic stuff, then muscle armor is your you know, that's your counter. Talking about misinputs, as I've mentioned. There we go. So yeah, so we either just take the hit and whiff punish, or armor through, go for a throw, something like that, and that'll work against your Demon Paw and your kind of waifu sort of you know, either CD1 or CD2 kind of mix-ups. Now, once you start doing that, the next thing they're going to start to do, if they haven't already, and yeah, let me know if you've seen this before, is they're going to start doing this. And why is that? Because this will crush highs. So try jab, it will go under. Look, jab, counter hit launched, and it will also beat muscle armor. It will. There we go. See? Because muscle armor is a power crush tool, and obviously lows will beat that. So if they start doing this, this is again a nice sort of King specific punish, which is normally, this is only minus, I believe it's minus 14. So traditionally this would be your best punish for it. That wasn't even a punish. You gotta be quick with it. No, that wasn't a punish either. That was a punish. So normally your punish isn't really that good, but because he's in crouch, going to do it again. We can use our crouch throws. So you can go for any of these. If you want to go for heat, you can use that. If you want to break the floor, you can do this. So that's the first thing to basically get that in your head, because otherwise, down 2, the reason why they spam it so much is because it is a legit brilliant move. Because it is only -14 and it launches on counter and it crushes and the range is good and it tracks. So it's an absolutely brilliant low. I don't buy it's reactable, I'm afraid. It's not reactable online, especially if you're an old man like me. So this is a hard read, but so don't duck mindlessly. But if you have the read and you see that coming, then yeah, crouch throw, because the move recovers in crouch. So that's kind of like your bog standard stuff. And the other thing just to mention, again, this is very, very general, but the other thing they might start doing is they love this. I'll let him hit me with it. That's his power crush. It's pretty good. It's a good chunky bit of damage. But you'll notice it's -13. And because it's a power crush, that means we can do this. Do it a bit quicker. There we go. That is a legit punish. So that's a good 53 damage. Bit out of reach there. Now I probably almost certainly will not land it for the reasons I said before, and that I'm really ridiculously out of practice. But in theory, you should be able to blue spark tier 1 and twist to this, which would be the absolute maximum punish. But you would have to be frame perfect to land it. So let's see. It's hard. I don't think that was blue sparks. Blue sparks makes it all the harder because you can't buffer it. Yeah. So in theory, you can blue spark tier 1 and twist as a punish, but it is difficult. I would go for 2. I would go for Tombstone personally. But yeah, so that's kind of just to counter his very, very basic stuff. So basically, if he's coming in with his general sort of mid-high mix-ups out of a wave dash, then that's the way to go, especially against Demon Paw. As I said, they love to use Demon Paw because it's got great range. And then if they start relying on down 2, then just realize that you can punish it much, much harder than most characters can with the crouch throw. So it's a really good sort of mind game to condition the Jin player to know, if you're going to use down 2, I'm not just going to hit you while standing 2 or something like that. You're going to get a really meaty punish. And if you start doing that, they'll be less likely to spam it, because it's suddenly the risk reward is no longer as good. So that's his general stuff. Let's now talk about his strings. Okay, so let's quickly talk about some of Jin's most kind of abusable strings. They're not bad. There's a reason why they get abused, but they can be countered. So let's go through them. So first of all, he has his 1-2 strings. So he has 1-2-3 and 1-2-4. That's the main ones they'll use. And then he also has 1-2-1. Now, 1-2-3, you probably have seen this the most. This is the one where so I probably should have set this up beforehand, but never mind. Okay, so this is 1-2. This is 1-2, 1-2-3. I'll let him hit me. So you've seen this, right? You get that knockdown afterwards. Now the reason why they'll spam this is because if we just get him to stop, it's because it's fairly fast, and the frames are basically, if it lands, you're more or less at neutral. So it's not plus on block, but equally, he hasn't lost his turn. So that's why they love it. Now, in my experience, there's 2 particular moves that they'll go for after this if you block it, because again, your traditional sort of viewpoint is the way to take your turn back is to jab, and both of these beat jab. So this is the ones they like to use. Okay, so I've got the doing to do these. So again, let me know if you've seen these before. But these ones I see the most. They'll do this. They'll do down 4. So that's your down 4 because that crushes highs. Or they'll do this one. And that's because that's got a built-in side step. So either of these, if you try to jab challenge afterwards, you lose. I'll just demonstrate that. See? Because that crushes. When I select a random, why does it always do the same one? Right, come on, Jin, play along. There you go. So both of those lose to jabs. So don't jab check afterwards. This, however, beats both. You've got to be quick, but down forward 2 is the way to go. But like I say, you've got to really mash it out. But let me show you. And you'll notice that's counter. So that beats both. So that's really cool. Just to bear in mind, the only thing to add, it's a nuance, but just so you know, if they opt for the one with the big side step, you can land a combo after this, but you'll be really off axis. So here, normally where you would sidestep 2 into Shining Wizard, it will whiff. So, and sometimes that whiffs as well. You see what I mean? That's the way around it, but even that then whiffs. So the way around it, if you're super off axis, is go into the heat burst to kind of like make it more reliable. Just a minor point, but just so you know. Or if you want to just keep it really, really simple, just go for this. Just do that. You'll still get plenty of damage, and that will never drop. Or if you really, really, really want to keep it baby steps, you can just do this. Oops. Just do that. So that's how you counter that particular string. If if it lands. So not if it lands, if you block it, but you block all 3 moves. Because that's the most common flowchart they like to do. However, it is possible to actually interrupt it, and King has a unique way he can do this, and I'll show you what it is. Hang on, if I can do it. Which is he can parry it. That's all guaranteed, by the way. Now, you have to have pretty fast reflexes to do this, because you've got to recognize he's going to do it's the 2 jabs, you see? You've got to see the 2 jabs into parry. So this is, as I say, this is online particularly, this is hard, but you can do it. And that gives you some nice chunky damage. So you can also, and this is true for any character, you can just dick jab it. Like that. So if in doubt, you can just sort of do that. But I tried to parry it every time. And the reason why it's good to parry is because the other string they like to do is 1, 2, 4, which is this. Okay, so that's high, so technically you can duck it, but if they mix it up with 1, 2, 3, then you'll get knocked down. But you'll notice you can do it quick enough. Really quick. There you go. You can also parry this one. Don't know why I can't get people's elbow after this. There we go. So if they I'll just show you because I have them doing both. So both those strings can be either interrupted with a dick jab, like that. Or you can parry both. But again, the parry is hard, but it can be done with practice. It's much easier if you have a hard read. So, you know, that's cool. Now, just the one thing to be wary of is what they can do if they're feeling YOLO is they can do 1, 2, 1, which is which is this. That will launch you, and if you try and parry it, you're getting launched. Now the good news is this is super minus. So you can either launch punish it like that, 4, 2, 1 it, whatever you want to do really. However, just so we covered all bases, the handy thing is it is actually an option select which beats every single one of these. So you don't even have to necessarily make the hard read. You can just do this. Back 3 will work on every single one. Again, if you're quick enough. And the cool thing about back 3 is not only will it work on every single one, but actually, if he goes for 1-2-1, you'll corkscrew him. So you get like a so you get a mini combo. So that's cool. Wonder if I can get blue sparks. No. So anyway, so that's cool. So that's the option to go for. To beat every single one of those 1-2 mix-ups, just do back 3. If you're quick. And as I say, it will beat every single one of these. Let me just show you, because the only problem when I try to demonstrate these is then the random never works. So let's just go from individually. There you go, just to show you that I'm not making it up. So yep, so as you can see, back 3 will beat every single one after 1-2. Again, if you're quick enough. So that's basically all his 1-2 strings and all the options and the flowcharts that they like to do all covered. So that's nice. Okay, so let's talk about his other most sort of abusable string, which is 2-1-4, which in case you're not aware, that's this string. Really, really good. I believe it's mid. It may be high mid. Anyway, you can't duck it, and you can't duck it, you can't interrupt it, and you can't parry it or power crush. So if he goes for this, you basically just have to respect it. The upside is if he does land it, let's have a look. Not that, you sneaky Jin. Okay, so if he does land it, or sorry, if you block it, the upside is you see he's now -9, so he's completely lost his turn. So if you just eat this, then you can go for what you want afterwards, and basically he'll have no options. So that's its one weakness, is its frames aren't that good. However, what they can do is they can mix you up, quote unquote, mix you up with this. So if you just stand there, you can get a knockdown. However, the good thing is this is quite slow. So this is, in theory, and yeah, you're about to see just how out of practice I am. This mix-up is in theory reactable. So let's see. There we go. So it is reactable. Basically. Yeah, so basically the way to sort of do it is it's so slow. If you just don't duck, if you don't duck to the last minute, then just hold it like that. And if you see him stutter, that's when you duck. So that's that's the way to counter that string. A good gym player is far more likely to just stick to this, because it's a great it's just a great string, because it's fast and it's mid, and you have to respect it. But like I said, after they finish it, if they do finish it, then yeah, they're at serious disadvantage. So just do what you want afterwards. Be cheeky, do something like that. So okay, so those strings, and the final one to go through is, you have definitely seen this, and it's his 2-1-4, not 2-1-4. We just done 2-1-4. This is 1-1-3-4, which I believe. Yeah, 1-3-4. That's it. Apologies, I'm an old man. So they love this because obviously any strings that contain lows they love. Go back, do it again, please. There we go. Now the cool thing about this, and something I didn't realise, is even if the so this is high, low, low. But even if the second low hits, you can actually still block the final low. The only downside is you don't have enough frames to low parry, so you have to block and while standing punch, which with King is a while standing 4. So I'll just show you what I mean to show that I'm not making it up. See? So if you eat the first one, don't let them get away with it. See? I didn't realize that, so many times I've just been eating it. But yeah, you can block it if you have the hard read, a really hard read. Obviously, you can low parry the first low, but yeah, that's a real hard read on it, and that will give you 49 damage. So that's his max punish for it, basically. But as I said, that's with the hard read that knowing that they're definitely going to go for it. But unfortunately, it is only -13, so the final low. So yeah, King just gets while standing 4, which is pretty good. But yeah, it's not the best. So I would definitely, those are the strings to go into practice mode and yeah, basically practice with those. Now, so those are the strings. I'm now going to talk about Zen. And this is when the really interesting stuff with King starts. Okay, so final thing I want to talk about. Let's talk about Jin's Zen stance, is often called, although I think it's actually been renamed for Tekken 8. So if you're not familiar with it, this is basically, yeah, this is unfortunately I've run out of slots to just do a raw demonstration. But basically, it's when he does this stance. And he has lots of different options from this stance, okay? And sometimes you'll see him just doing this in the neutral, like I've got it going to set here. And it's actually quite deceptive, because if you try to jab, you see he has a lot of, he sort of has it's almost like a kempo or back sway. So jabbing, often you'll lose. However, something to bear in mind is if you see this stance, do this. And if you're in the neutral, this should beat, there you go, basically all his options. If he's just doing it randomly, and if you're quick, because that will still, even though it's got a back sway, 4-2-1 will still basically, reach him. So just, that's rule number 1. If they're just sort of spamming it mindlessly in neutral, just be ready with, if you see it, 4-2-1 that. It's very similar to a lot of Alice's stuff. If you see her sort of doing random stuff, although even you see what I mean. A lot of the moves have a lot of evasion, so you do have to be quick. But so that's if they're spamming it in the neutral. But most gym players aren't going to do that. What they tend to do is do it after landing forward 4, because they'll land forward 4, hold it into Zen, and there you go. And then they'll have some options. So you've probably seen this, right? Something like this. So that's his low option. Right, just stop now, please. Now, in the good old-fashioned days of Tekken 7, every single option he had from this forward 4 and block into Zen transition, all you had to do was do a down forward 2 for King, because you basically need a 13 frame mid, so you can just do this. And you see, and for almost all his options, this will still counter hit, because if he's doing it from block, he doesn't have enough frames to basically do anything. Now, if it's like that, if it's on hit like that, then you have to respect it. But if it's on block, don't let him get away with just, this kind of stuff. So, as I said, in the good old-fashioned days of Tekken 7, that was your one-size-fits-all. That'll be every single option. However, this is Tekken 8, and so of course they have to come up with something to, so he doesn't have any weaknesses, or you have to think a bit more. And what they gave him was, this is Zen 2, which is a Power Crush Heat Engage launcher. So again, watch what happens if I try to down 4 to interrupt. You see? Now we get, and even if you try to do it into duck, I don't think King's down 4-2 has enough recovery frames to do it, as you see. Because if you see some guides, right, please stop, Jin. Stop. What you'll see them, what they'll tell you to do after that is to do a down forward. They'll say, use your generic down forward 1 duck, and that'll that'll beat it. The problem is King's down forward 1 is 14 frames, not 13. So it's not fast enough. And his down forward 2 is 13 frames, but the recovery is, I believe it's -7. So for very, very long, complicated reasons, basically you can't do that option with King. There's not enough time to interrupt duck with either of these. And if you try to, obviously if you try to just jab check, now in theory you can do that. So you could, you should be able to, if you recognize it. But obviously the problem with that is then if he does any other option, potentially you're going to lose. So let's go back to this one, for example. See? Because that has a lot of high crush. So this is where it becomes problematic for King. At least I thought it was, but we'll get to that in a minute. So you can't just option select every single one by doing his generic down, a generic down for 1, because King doesn't have one. However, I was a bit disappointed with that when I first looked at it. However, I discovered something very, very unique for King. And the long story short, and I've tested this for every single one of his Zen options, which I've got preloaded here, so I will try and show you some. If you're fast enough, and you do have to be fast, the cool thing is, Giant Swing beats every single one, which sounds crazy, but trust me, it works. So let me just show you. First of all, this is probably the one I'm going to go for the most, because they want you to retaliate, and they want to get a heat engage. So this is the Power Crush, but watch. That didn't go. See? Can't, it's actually unbreakable because it's a Power Crush, and it's 10 frames, so it will come out in time. So you, as they do have to be quick, but it will work. And that's just that is basically a King privilege, because he has a jab, because he has a throw that comes out as fast as a jab, 10 frames. Basically that works, and the cool thing is it works on every other single option. So let me give you some demonstrations, show what I mean. Although, as I say, some of these the timing is very, very hard, but let me show you. Yeah, like this one. But you can, as you see, you can do it because you can buffer it. This is one of those ironies where you don't want to land blue sparks. There we go. So you do have to practice this. And as I say, the irony is you don't want to blue spark it because you want it to come out as fast as possible from a buffer. I did say I'm rusty, so I do apologise. You can see when it's not working, it's because I'm getting a jab. There we go. By the way, this is the hardest one to counter with Giant Swing because it has got a potential bit of high crush. But if you do it it doesn't have to be frame perfect. If you do it as fast as possible, it will work. But I'll just show you some others where you've got much more leniency on the timing. See, so you see that works. Go through some more. And the cool thing is, as you notice, this will catch even his air ones. Just show you what this would have been if he landed it. See? So, works for that. Again, go through some more. Okay, another one where, again, get him out of the air. Okay, just a final few more. Again, just to show you that I'm not making this up, because I did find it hard to believe at first, not going to lie. There you go. Which one this would have been? Oh yeah, that's the Power Crush one again. quickly, and yeah, I believe that's all of them that I pre-recorded. But as I say, I did go for every single one. So the long story short, if he's going into Zen from forward 4, so he's in a block stance, giant swing beats every single one. But as I mentioned, if you're going to practice any, go practice this one, which I can't remember exactly what this is. I think this is Zen 1+2, but I could be wrong. But it's basically, if you go for the move list, the one where he does this. This is the one that's hardest to do. But it can be done, trust me. Like that. But you can interrupt with down forward 2-1. Just to be clear, down forward 2-1 interrupts every single one of these options except for the power crush. So it's one of those weird things where it's like, statistically, this is what you want to go for in most cases. But the problem is if they do this, then this is the worst option to go for, because that's it. They've got heat, and you know, all the rest of it. So I hope that sort of makes sense from my labbing. So basically, if they're doing Zen on block, giant swing, that will work against all of his options, which is really cool. And as far as I know, that's a unique thing for King. No other character can do that. Other characters you can interrupt with down forward 1s or even down forward 2s in some cases, but King doesn't have that conventional setup. But he does have a 10 frame throw, so that's really awesome. So anyway, hope that's helped you guys. Let me know who you'd like to see next. Like I said, this is a very King specific thing in this gym matchup, and I hope that's helped you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.